In today's news, Premier Fahie says it was the government who requested UK military support, and we bid farewell to Attorney General Baba Aziz.
4 persons charged in early morning operation. All this and more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome to 284 News. Another beautiful day here in the British Virgin Islands, Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. It's always a pleasure to bring you the latest happenings, both locally and regionally, and of course, touching on some international news as well.
Absolutely. Ron, let's begin by applauding the efforts of all the members of the House of Assembly who literally sat in the House up until 2:27 this morning. I know a few of the members of the opposition left, but for the most part, and you know, as a media personality, I really have to applaud the government for their commitment. I think oftentimes we place politicians on an unrealistic pedestal, oftentimes forgetting that one, they're human, that they have personal and family lives on the line. But I think last night was a true reflection of their commitment to the people's business. So I'd like to begin by saying thank you for all that you continue to do. And this, of course, is the members of the House of Assembly.
It's definitely a tall order, and we commend them for the job that they're doing.
Absolutely. And continuing on to the tune of good news, we see our entrepreneurs continuing to shine, even in the midst of COVID-19. Just yesterday, Miss Donisha Finlay launched her full-service salon. We're so proud of her, and definitely needed to take a minute to speak with her. So viewers, listen in.
Good evening, BVI. Thank you to It For Media for having me here this evening. It's been a long time coming. I've dreamt about having my own full-service salon for quite some time. Yesterday, I was able to live that moment as I had my soft launch for my very own Envy Style Salon, Spa, Nail and Barber Shop. We still have a bit of work to do, especially in our spa room, hence the soft opening and not the grand opening. But the support thus far, however, has been grand, and I would like to thank you all, and I hope to see you in the near future.
That was Miss Donisha Maduro Finlay, young, enterprising, beautiful, and just really successful as it relates to her efforts thus far.
Wonderful. And of course, continuing on Money Matters, they have a seminar on estate planning, on Alzheimer's awareness. Of course, today is ending the Alzheimer's Awareness Month, so they're going to be kicking that off at 6:30 today. A very interesting topic that I think is very important to our territory. That's estate planning and Alzheimer's awareness. And also today, International Podcast Seminar. That's going to be taking place today at 5 p.m., featuring our very own Mr. Daylon Vancepool amongst a panel of other Caribbean podcasters. This is something that's very exciting, and of course been taking the world by storm, and he has I think etched his mark definitely within the podcast world, so we want to show support to him as well as the other podcasters.
Absolutely, and congratulations to Mr. Vancepool once again. Now, viewers, we're going to head straight into your newscast for today. Now, in a stunning turn of events regarding border security, the Premier of the Virgin Islands, Honorable Andrew Fahie, within his speech to the House of Assembly last evening, revealed that it was the BVI government who requested the UK's help to patrol the borders, essentially dismissing the governor's recently publicized stance on the matter. And trust me, we are just as stunned as you are on this. So if you missed it, here's a short clip of what transpired.
You know what's the most amazing thing about it, Mr. Speaker, that I have to tell this Honorable House? We are the ones who approach the governor in our letter telling him the platforms will soon move, so can you bring the ships in so that we could get 3 months out of them till we get in our radar system and satellite system that we're purchasing for the country. And then next thing in our statement comes out Friday, a song that they had to override the Premier. I nearly fell off my chair when I heard this thing. override, and we're the one who asked for it. We heard only October the one ship could come. It was always coming October. There's nothing on the ask for them. The ship will come in October all the time. And we asked for more months, 3 months, because after October, we were concerned, and that's where most of the entanglement came up. But nobody was against any ship coming. I have my letters to show that you're right and ask for them to come in to replace when the platforms would have been up until we get all the resources that we're looking for. And I told them that the BVI is going to buy all those systems. We're going to buy the systems, and our people are going to learn to run the systems. There's a reason that the last government gave them credit had do caps with customs. You know why? Because caps now is something that we keep our own data. We didn't join up to get it free, which was offered to us free. We keeping our own data because anybody who get that data will know how our trade goes in this country, and they could do damage to our economy. God, they'll understand how our trade goes.
Now, Ron, what a point of clarity as we continue to go over the details, not of only who's in charge, but, where the power lies as it relates to border securities. And I know as it relates to what the Premier said in the House of Assembly just last night, these same sentiments were reiterated in his recent letter to Baroness Elizabeth Sugg, who's essentially the minister responsible for the British Overseas Territories in the United Kingdom, in which he accuses Governor Jaspert of trying to bulldoze the government through imperialism to hijack the territory's sea border protection. Premier Fahie stated, and I quote, "The government of the Virgin Islands does not wish to co-fund the new permanent surveillance system. We have solicited no donations from the UK government on this project, as we wish to see the system be 100% BVI built to inspire national pride and confidence." He went on to say, Ron, should the UK government still wish to donate that $300,000 that the government claims he has identified, this can be directed by purchasing equipment for the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, as well as the HM Customs, which Governor Jaspert as himself flagged as urgent. That was the words of the Premier within that letter to the United Kingdom. Ron, the debacle continues on border security. Who's in charge? Who's doing what's needed to be done under the respective portfolio? But lots of questions.
And who's lying too?
And exactly, who's lying? I know the Premier of the Virgin Islands, even within that letter, has literally threatened to take this matter up to the United Nations, saying that if this isn't rectified and if the United Kingdom, and by default the governor, doesn't work to salvage what is left of that relationship, he's willing to go to that extra mile. Will that make a difference? We're not sure. Will his case be heard? We're not sure. But the Premier is very serious and stern in his stance as it relates to the governor's responsibility in his portfolio, and in his opinion, aggressively stepping out of bounds. Now, the fact remains, Ron, that the borders are porous. We have an issue with border security. It's a very old issue. COVID-19 has just magnified the risks because now we stand to see our health aspect of the economy compromised. So persons are really speaking out against it. But it is still a situation where we need to get it in control.
Most definitely, Jovan. As this story broke earlier today, we're keeping track of a lot of the comments and, voices of concern from the residents, and one of the things many of them said is they really don't think that this is the time to be having a fight, and they themselves questioned who was lying or who's telling the truth because they simply see the back and forth. And I think, again, once we reiterate that the territory is under severe pressure, both economically and health-wise, I think it's important for both to come together. Of course, we know that Governor Jaspert is on his way out. However, the Premier alluded to the relationship between the UK and the BVI, and I think ultimately that's what's at stake.
You know, Ron, I think it requires at this level, especially because we're at such a critical junction in our history and redefining where the territory is going, political maturity is paramount at this point, and because people are really starting to become disgusted. Like you said, it's such a sensitive time for so many people across the territory. We have big tasks to get to, and seemingly one of the things we see being addressed by the officials or the leaders of this territory is who's in charge.
Most definitely. Now, continuing on the local scene, we're bringing you an update from a story we issued on Monday for charge in regards to the early morning firearm and cash that were found. This is out of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. 4 persons have been charged after search warrants were executed at several properties in the Anderson Hill area on Sunday morning. Hector Gonzalez, 26, Pidela Moses Gonzalez, 27, Franklin Ramirez Garcia, 26, and Jessica Farinas, 32, all Venezuelan nationals residing at Anderson Estate, have been jointly charged for possession of a controlled drug, which is cocaine. That's 112 blocks weighing 124.36 kilos, possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply. They've also been charged with keeping a firearm without a license and landing in the territory without permission from an immigration officer. Now, they remain in police custody pending their court appearance. Now, Danny Rodriguez Robles, 59, and Emrilis Lopez Lavia, 55, both Venezuelan nationals residing as well at Anderson Estate, were both charged for overstaying landing permit. They also remain in police custody pending their magistrate court appearance. Now, we would all remember, Jovan, the previous story where officers of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force on Sunday, assisted, of course, by the Immigration Department, they executed a search warrant at several properties in Anderson Hill Estate, and as a result, a loaded firearm, a large quantity of drugs, and cash were recovered, and we now know the exact amount. Now, 6 persons have been arrested and are presently in custody. That was the previous story for anyone that might have missed it. Now, again, Jovan, not only border security, but the war on drugs. Now, I want to bring our memory back to the Honorable Member for the 3rd, Julian Fraser's remarks a few weeks ago as it pertains to the 3rd pillar. And that is one that we, in our territory, really, I think, essentially try to act as though it is not here. But the 3rd pillar essentially is alive and well, and I think as we progress through these very difficult times, particularly during lockdowns and borders being closed, we see inevitably where it's raising its ugly head. So we're going to continue to follow this story, and we wish the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force and, of course, the other agencies who've joined together the very best in their endeavors.
You know, Honorable Fraser, member for the 3rd District, said it and coined it the best. I think I've seen it recently.
Yes.
A war has been declared against the 3rd economic pillar, like we say school children say. And it is true. What we see, Ron, is a lot has been going on as it relates to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force in collaboration with the Joint Task Force as it relates to going out and pursuing illegal immigrants in our communities, ensuring and it has to do with immigration reform as well. But what we've been seeing recently is a lot of illegal immigrants being found within the territory. And it also puts a microscope over the Immigration Department. And I think a call to action for them to be a bit more active and aggressive in going after persons who are illegal in the territory. We saw 2 of the individuals entering legally, and I think the other 2 overstaying their time, which makes them all illegal immigrants. But regardless, I think we need to, especially now that we're trying to keep those numbers down as it relates to COVID-19, we're trying to eradicate crime in our community. Now is the time for us to flush out the persons who are not supposed to be here and essentially are causing havoc in the community. So, like I said, we just want to continue to applaud the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force and by extension the Joint Task Force for the works that they're doing. But it seems as if the police commissioner and the governor is trying to definitely leave with a bang.
We'll keep posted on that story, but more ahead, we're going to say goodbye to the Honorable Attorney General Baba Aziz, and we have a very interesting story as it pertains to the U.S. debate. We're going to have all this and more coming up after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
Brilliant Hands and Minds Tutoring Services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, Ron, the territory is now bidding farewell to Attorney General Honorable Baba Aziz after serving the British Virgin Islands for, get this, 16 long years. Now, his parting speech was delivered last night in the House of Assembly, and quite touching, if you ask me. So we'll just let the video do all the talking on this story. Listen in.
I am really grateful for the opportunity to serve the British Virgin Islands for 16 years. I am grateful for having the opportunity to serve two governments, the government of the VIP for 3 years and the government of the NDP for 4 years. Mr. Speaker, I am grateful to the governments and people of the Virgin Islands. It is a rare privilege to have been given a seat in cabinet, in the House of Assembly, and in the National Security Council of this country. I didn't expect to be here. How did I get here? From a village in Ghana, where I grew up. It's 168 miles from the capital, Accra. Members of this august house, you have a big responsibility. I am here because of providence. I'm also here because politicians like you made it possible. There was no way I could have become a lawyer but for the good policies of a leader of a country, of the leader of independent Ghana, who provided proper education for people whose parents had never known school. I didn't be here. I couldn't have become a lawyer. It was impossible. But it is those politicians. They are like you. So the burden is yours. You can move the Virgin Islands and its people to wherever you want them to be. The ladies in my office, but for them, I could not have handled my son. When I'm busy in cabinet, when I'm busy in the House of Assembly, they voluntarily pick up my son from school. I'm grateful to them. So I have always told the Premier that I belong here, and truly I belong, because I have been accepted by the people of the Virgin Islands.
So well said by Honorable Aziz. He has served as the acting Attorney General from June of 2010 to December 2011. He initially joined the Attorney General's chambers in June of 2001 as a senior Crown Counsel and was subsequently promoted to the post of Principal Crown Counsel in 2007. He also acted as the Solicitor General and went on to serve us up until this point, viewers. Now, he holds a Master of Laws degree from the American University in Washington, D.C., a professional certificate of law from the Ghana School of Law, and a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Ghana. Additionally, he holds a certificate in international human rights laws from Hague Academy of International Laws and the Netherlands Institute of Human Rights. Ron, 16 years serving as Attorney General and within other capacities in the BVI, but this is definitely no joke, a pretty long time to be in another country and of course extending your service. I think he has integrated very well into our community. He has served as well. Clearly his service was retained because of the greatness that he extended to the BVI. And we are proud, we are very grateful, and extremely grateful to him for taking time to be here, and of course want to wish him all the best in his future endeavors.
I certainly agree.
All right, viewers, it's still ahead. The premiere of Nevis is now being applauded, not just in Nevis, but across the region for working salary-free to support COVID-affected persons in his country. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
Father Jesus, that line along like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes,
Good
son.
morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. What on there? You must have cut fun topic.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Viewers, welcome back. Continuing on in the international scene, a very chaotic first debate for the U.S. presidential election coming up this November. The first debate, essentially, between President Donald Trump and Democrat challenger Joe Biden deteriorated into bitter taunts and near chaos last evening as Trump repeatedly interrupted his opponent with angry and personal jabs that sometimes overshadowed the sharply different visions each man has for a nation facing historic crises. Now, in the most tumultuous presidential debate in recent memory, Trump refused to condemn white supremacists who have supported him, telling one such group known as Proud Boys to stand back, stand by. There were also heated clashes over the president's handling of the pandemic, the integrity of the election results, deeply personal attacks about Biden's family, which many persons felt quite personable and related to him by, and we're thankful that he shared his personal experience, and of course how the Supreme Court will shape the future of the nation's healthcare now. But it was the belligerent tone that was consistent and persistent throughout, somehow fitting for what has and been an extraordinary, very ugly campaign so far. The two men frequently talked over each other, with Trump interrupting, nearly shouting so often that at one point Biden eventually snapped at him and said, "Will you shut up, man?" The fact that this is everything he's saying so far, Biden said, is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar. Now, the presidential race has been remarkably stable for weeks, despite the historic crises that have been battered throughout the country this year, now including a pandemic that has killed more than 200,000 Americans and a reckoning over race and police brutality. Now, with just 5 weeks until Election Day, and of course, voting already underway in some key states, Biden has maintained a lead in national polls and in really the essential battlegrounds. Now, it's unclear, Jovan, whether the debate will do much to change those dynamics. Now, over and over, Trump tried to control the conversation, interrupting Biden and repeatedly taking over the moderator, Chris Wallace of Fox News, of course. Now, the president tried his best to deflect tough lines of questioning, whether it on his taxes or the pandemic, to deliver broadside against Biden. The president drew a lecture from Wallace, who pleaded with both of the men to stop talking over each other, which really truly did not happen. But Biden tried to push back against Trump sometimes looking right at the camera to directly address viewers rather than the president and snapping, "It's hard to get a word in with this clown." Those were the words of Biden. Now, again, refusing to commit to honoring the results of the election, Trump spread falsehoods about mail voting without evidence. He suggested that the process, surging in popularity during the pandemic, was ripe for fraud and incorrectly claimed impropriety at the Pennsylvania voting site. Jovan, we were following this, of course. You and I were watching the very, very interesting debate. What are your thoughts?
Wow, I think, first of all, I've never seen anything like this in the history of my career as a media personality. Clearly, Trump came to brawl, and Biden came to appeal to the people. But like you said, the moderator did such a poor job at moderating, because essentially what happened is these men were acting like spoiled kids.
Absolutely.
And speaking over each other. Lots of bullying coming from the side of Trump as it relates. We saw him taking personal jabs at Biden, essentially disarming him as he spoke about Biden's son's addiction to drugs and so on.
Which was by far a very
Yes.
powerful moment, I must say.
Absolutely. And I think that's where Biden somewhat came through by coming, and expressing that he's not ashamed of his family's past. And I think it's on that note that he continues to resonate with the Democrats of the United States of America. But Ron, all in all, it's a shame as we examine the political landscape and the climate across the world. And, one of the things we often refer to is, the climate within the British Virgin Islands. We examine the government, we examine the opposition. But one of the things we need to take into consideration at times is we're not as bad as the rest of the world. They're bigger fishes to fry in the rest of the world, and they're not shy about it.
Right.
And so I think essentially what we need to do, while we're not condoning the discrepancies locally or any, the lack of transparency and accountability and all of that, we also need to look at the glass half full, because last night that was incredibly distasteful in every way, and it really failed the people. CNN did a poll, Ron, and it showed that the Democrats won this first debate. Of course, we're expecting a second one, but overall, I was just absolutely stunned at the display last night.
Well, let me just reiterate for the viewing audience, and I'm sure they know that debates do not win elections. However, we would remember our very, I think, popular debate over in Virgin Gorda that was put on by a group of young people. And we see where it's important for leaders who are seeking a seat at the table to essentially come and share that with the viewers. Now, this was quite different because we see the tone of both candidates seemingly just totally off, but I think it's going to be an interesting watch over the next 5 weeks leading up to the U.S. presidential election.
Absolutely. I think perhaps one of my favorite parts of the debate was the conversation on race and race relations in the United States. And Ron, Democrats have said within the last few months, if there was ever a time to take Trump out, it is now. And that is due to the Black Revolution and his indecisions and his failure to give an opinion on it. And also last night, them asking the question, would you condemn or ask the KKK or the white supremacists to stand back? And he said, you need to stand back and stand by, clearly sending mixed messages. And I think essentially inciting a lot of trouble if we're not to be careful, especially in light of the killings we've seen, not just over this last year, but over the past years in America as it relates to Black people and police brutality. So it's such a very sensitive time for the United States of America. And once again, I think we saw President Donald Trump really failed the Black community. And being that he would have disarmed Biden by taking those personal jabs, I'm not even sure if Biden stood strong enough or as stern as he should have in this debate. But like we said, we are looking forward to this second debate. Definitely something to look forward to.
Of course,
and
we have the
as well.
ladies coming up as well. Not the ladies, but the very popular Kamala Harris. We're going to be hearing from the vice presidential candidates as well. They're supposed to be squaring off within the next 5 weeks as well. So I think that's going to be exciting to hear from them and see how they complement their candidacy and how they complement each other essentially. One of the things that we saw with President Donald Trump is how Joe Biden complimented him. I think that was essential in leadership, that persons have a different style and it's important for them to mesh. So hearing from the vice presidential candidates will also give us a better understanding of what these teams, of course, will look like.
Absolutely, Ron. I think that is all the time we have for today. The story with Nevis Premier, we do not have time to go through it, but it's on our website. That's 284media.com. We're on Facebook as well at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram, as well as Twitter. It was my pleasure, viewers. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Bye-bye.